What's poppin', everyone? This is episode one of Black Rubber Burning Bros. This is DMoney, and I'm here with my co-host Ruth the Truth.
What's
So on
going?
today's episode, let him introduce himself. Matter of fact, bro, I want to ask who's your favorite driver, but we just gonna stick to the home track for the first episode.
Bet. My I would say, uh, my favorite driver currently. We talking about all time.
All time favorite driver.
Got to go with this dude right here in the back, my boy Jimmy Johnson.
What's your home track?
Darlington.
Darlington Raceway. My favorite driver of all time was also Jimmy Johnson. My home track is technically Michigan International Speedway, but since I spent most of my life in Georgia, I'm not calling it Echo Park. It's Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's my home track.
Hey, there we go.
That being said, let's cut to the chase. So, Denny Hamlin, he got the pole earlier today for the Cookout Southern 500, which takes place tomorrow night, excuse me, and he leads the charge amongst all playoff drivers. He barely edged out Chase Briscoe, who captured three of four poles in the crown jewel races this year, and that means that Hamlin will have some tough competition. Who do you think is going to take home the Southern 500 tomorrow night to kick off the round of 16 in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs?
Oh man, the money. I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. That's actually a good question. Ooh, I'm really leaning towards Denny. I think he can win it. Especially with everything that's circling him and you know his race team and just he made the comments about when people giving him that extra ammo to give him that edge to drive harder and better and he feels like he's the best when people are giving or going against him. I really think that he has something to prove more so than ever. And I feel like Denny is gonna probably come out on top. How about you? What you think?
I want to say, excuse me, I want to say Kyle Larson is going to give him a run for his money. I do believe Hamlin has this one in the bag. He won the spring race early this year despite William Byron leading 243 laps. And like you said, it's the 11 against the world being 15 other guys in the playoffs. Darlington, your home track is his wheelhouse, and like you said, it's his race to lose. Chase Briscoe's going to be fast, like he was in last year's Southern 500, so he's also going to give him a run for his money. I would have to say Hamlin is definitely the favorite, but also going, Hamlin's an owner first and foremost, and he hires the best drivers who can go wheel to wheel with him. Tyler Reddick is also very fast, driving his number 45 Toyota. Reddick was fast in 2023 in both the spring race and the fall race, and I believe if it's not Hamlin, it's going to be either Reddick or Briscoe or Larson giving him a run for his money. But if Hamlin keeps his head out of trouble, plays the strategy game, it's his Southern 500, and this would be his third if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, yep, yeah. I like those picks.
Who? Yeah, I gotta ask you on the flip side, who do you think is gonna shock the field? Because I remember in 2020, Austin Dillon finished second, and after doing a clutch performance at Richmond a few weeks ago, he's in the playoffs. Can he repeat that type of success? And if not Austin Dillon, who else do you think is gonna surprise us?
I wouldn't be surprised about Austin shocking the field, but I really have my eyes set on Josh Berry. I think Josh Berry, this is his type of style race track. With him, with his background with late models, and these are his type. These are his type of wheelhouse, type of track. So I wouldn't be surprised if he, gets up there and shocks the world. But I don't know. I just have a gut feeling about Josh Berry being that person that could possibly shock everybody.
Yeah, he was fast in the spring before getting caught up in an accident, I think with like less than 50 to go. And he
Yeah.
qualified third, I believe. He
Hmm.
qualified up there. So I feel like he can sneak his way into the round of 12 and possibly turn a lot of heads in this year's playoffs. This is his first playoff appearance, his second full-time season. I would keep my eyes out for Josh Berry as well as Austin Dillon.
Yep.
Also, shout out to SVG for qualifying 20th when everybody said he's not good on ovals.
Yeah, he's been to see his development at a lot of these oval racetracks throughout the season. Like he's really been putting together some really decent finishes, and I feel like he could be one of those dark horses moving forward in the playoffs if everybody's not careful enough, and he's always there when it matters the most. I really think that that's going to be a guy that people are going to have to really watch out for and really take serious.
100%. I feel like SVG, and you know, this is the round of 16. Anybody can have a bad round, and the Charlotte Roval ends the round of 12. So if he's consistent, keeps his head out of trouble, and keeps the car clean, I'm pretty sure he will be the driver that shocks a lot of people, if not Josh Berry. Now, that being said, I'm going to go to the next topic, and this is more on the political side of the world. Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan, the Front Row Motorsports in 2311 lawsuit. It's getting spicy. I saw that one of the 2311 representatives said that the solution to possibly getting what they want is Jim France dying. I recently saw Michael Jordan saying that he's going to fight till the end. Jordan in NASCAR, it's getting ugly. And I don't have an opinion on this because I'm not a lawyer. I don't have any legal knowledge. But I'm really curious as to how this plays out with 2311 and Front Row losing their charters the rest of the year, with two 2311 cars being in the playoffs non-chartered.
Yeah, man, I'm with you on that one. It's like that's one of those things where it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to play out because it's been, man, to see all the stuff that is spewing from both sides and things are coming out, and man, that's it's really going to get, like you said, spicy and interesting. So everybody got to grab their popcorns and sit back and watch, man. This is some real big stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I really hope that at the end of the day, no, somebody's going to likely lose in this lawsuit. Somebody's probably going to. I'm hoping they settle out of court, come to some type of compromise because at the end of the day, these two teams just want to compete. They just want to, show up to the track, win races, and show everyone what they're made of. It doesn't have to be ugly, and I'm really hoping they come to a compromise very soon.
Yeah, and I hope so. Especially Michael Jordan loves the sport. He's expressed that plenty of times, numerous of times. And Front Row has been around for a long time, man. And I can't see either of those. I don't. It'd just be real strange to not have them around. Um, which I hope that's not the
100%.
direction it's going. But yeah, man. I hope they're those two teams. I feel like they're good for the sport. They're really good for the sport.
100%. Now, the next topic I'm going to jump to the 2026 schedule. So, I see next year we're going to San Diego, we're going to Chicagoland, and we're going to Miami for the season finale. And by the way, it's looking no changes for the playoffs. That being said, I'm really excited about Miami being the finale, all the grooves that the guys can run. The championship four is definitely going to have a fun time. Loading off the trailer, not going to Phoenix for the first time since 2019. What do you think about the schedule? What are you most excited for, and what are some changes that you're not too fond of?
Man, first of all, I like the changes with adding San Diego. I like the changes that they, especially with them bringing back Homestead being, the season finale. Um, I'm really excited for all of it, man. I can't lie to you. The one thing, the one thing that I can say that I'm kind of, I guess you could say, iffy on is Watkins Glen getting put in May. That is a little bit odd in my opinion. I'm not really too thrilled about that being so early. But I don't know. And maybe they might be maybe there might be something. It might be it might not be as bad as what I'm thinking. But I'm excited to see all of it. I'm really excited for all the tracks. I really like the season layout of where they're going with the schedule. Like I said, the only thing that throws me off just a little bit is just the Watkins Glen. But yeah, how about you? What you think?
Like you said, I'm iffy about Watkins Glen. That's my least favorite change. Not because of it being in May, but because from what I've read in Facebook comments, and I'm from Michigan, so I know the up north weather is unpredictable. Mother's Day weekend, May in the north is like March in the south. Like there have been years where Atlanta Motor Speedway's spring race was colder than usual. Then there have been years where it was warm. Like I said, that's the north versus the south. I'm hoping that it's not muddy, snowy, etc. Because nobody wants to race on a Monday or Tuesday when for years Watkins Glen was towards the back half, the second half of the season. I know that's going to be a change to adapt to, and I'm hoping that this isn't a permanent schedule change going forward because Watkins Glen should either be in the playoffs or right before if this doesn't go as they have planned. That's one of those tracks where every year the racing is usually good. Guys, there's a lot more on the line. It's going to be just another road course race in my opinion. And I'm not saying that it's going to be any less special. It's just because of where it's at in the schedule on top of the weather, I feel like it's going to be much more tame and not as exciting. NASCAR says they put entertainment before anything else. And people don't always like that. But Watkins Glen towards the end of the year, it's always entertaining. I'm hoping it brings that same entertainment factor early on in the year. And it's not a race like Coda. Coda this year was better. I'm not going to lie, with the shorter circuit. But I'm hoping Watkins Glen still has the same amount of intensity. A change that I'm really excited for outside of even Miami, a San Diego street course. Due to San Diego having a street course, now Chicago has moved back to Chicagoland. July 4th weekend will be the oval, the worn out surface will put on a show with the stock cars, and we at least still have a street course in the summer. That's pretty cool. I'm excited to see both. I'm hoping that Chicagoland I'm hoping what they do with Chicagoland is every other year they go back to the streets. Then the following year they go back to Chicagoland. Then the street. I'm hoping every year they alternate. And if San Diego's a banger, they definitely go back to San Diego. Because we haven't seen the track layout yet. And I'm excited to see what comes of next year's schedule when it's all said and done. Once we get to each stop on the schedule, excuse me.
Yeah, I like that.
I also want to point I also want to point out that the trucks they're getting their first two street courses next year, and it's not San Diego for the trucks. They're going to St. Petersburg doing an IndyCar doubleheader. That's a win-win for Fox, and I'm looking forward to seeing the trucks take on two street courses in 2025. Six. My apologies. Man, this year's went by fast.
I was kind of I know we talked before. I was kind of on the fence about the trucks going to St. Petersburg. But after you broke it down, like I think it's gonna be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that race goes. And I really think that's gonna be interesting for the trucks to go there and see how that race turns out.
Yeah, man, I'm hoping that it's tame because the first year at Coda, the first 2 years it was a bunch of calamity. I'm hoping now that the field is learning racecraft, and we earlier this year I believe we had the fewest amount of overtime finishes in Truck Series recent history. I'm hoping they keep that momentum going, being that St. Petersburg will be the third race on the calendar for the trucks while the series is going to Coda. Hence my statement earlier in this episode.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, my next topic, Connor Zilic is going to Cup. Is he ready for the Cup Series?
man. I don't see why not. I think he is. He's shown that this year. I feel like in a sense, Connor Zilic in Xfinity right now is almost the equivalent to what Corey Haim is doing over there in the Craftsman's Truck Series. And I think he's more than ready, and I wish him the best. But I really think he is. I really think he's ready. He's proven that he's poised and he's that young next big thing. I feel like. So I really feel like he's going to be good for the Cup Series, and I think he's ready for it. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think Zillich, they're moving him up at the right time. With the Xfinity car not being as similar to the Cup car as it was 5 years ago, per se. I feel like you just mentioned Corey Heim, the longer you hold them out in the lower series, the more boring the series gets. And when I say boring, winning's a good thing. Jeff Gordon won about 10 races one season, if I'm not mistaken. And you don't see dominance in modern NASCAR often. It's cool to see these younger guys dominate. It's cool to see them run circles. But if you're winning 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 races a year in a lower series, there's no reason for them to stay out of Cup longer than however. They need to be rushed up. Let me not say rushed. They need to be moved up as soon as they're hitting that 6, 7 race win mark. I'm glad Connor Zillich is going up to Cup next year instead of wasting another year in Xfinity. And Trackhouse has a great pickup with him. He's going to win a few road course races next year, one at the very least. He's
I
going to win a race. Now
fact.
that being said, I do want to touch down on Corey Heim. Where could Corey Heim go with there being limited seats in Toyota, in Cup and Xfinity? Where could he go?
That's actually a good question. Ooh wee. I feel like you said, since Toyota is they kind of have their hands full with limited seats. If he were to jump ship and let's say someone like Chevy decides to shake it up,
Hmm.
and get him, I feel like if he wants to go to an Xfinity ride, I mean, hey, Connor is leaving. You know, who can replace somebody at Junior Motorsports? You know, him or even we don't know what Daniel Suarez is going to do either. But with Corey Haim, I feel it could be somewhere like Junior Motorsports if he wants to just go to Xfinity, or even work out a deal with what Joe Gibbs has over there in Xfinity. Um, I don't know. That's really a good question. But he's definitely going to be, you know, he's definitely going to be a hot commodity with whatever he decides to make his decision on. I feel like teams are going to definitely want to they're going to want to definitely put their hands on what he's bringing to the table for sure. So I don't know. It's that's a good question. What do you think about it?
I want to see him in a JGR Toyota because, and I'm not going to drop any names, we're seeing a dip in performance overall on the Xfinity side. This year it's been all Chevy, Chevy, Chevy. With Heim being a 2311 development driver, and as mentioned earlier, the ongoing lawsuit, right now I feel like Heim is holding his breath and waiting for the right opportunity to arise. We saw Chris Buescher in 2017 go on loan to Front Row Motorsports before going to JTG, which is now Hayek Motorsports, and drive for Chevy for a couple years before Roush got him back. If Heim does something similar, I can see him driving the number 7 for Spire in the Cup Series, maybe for a season or two, however long, until Toyota gets him back. Legacy Legacy is trying to buy another charter from what I've seen. I feel like Heim has a few options. He could even go to Sam Hunt for a part-time or full-time schedule next year in the 2024 entry. I'd love to see Heim move up as soon as possible instead of spending another year in the lower series. I really hope something gets worked out where he's at least in Cup part-time or Xfinity full-time next year. Or even Cup full-time on loan to Chevy.
I agree.
With that being said, we're going to wrap up this first episode. We're going to have a lot more to talk about once the checkered flag falls for the Southern 500. We also got an Xfinity race coming up at Portland as of the time we're recording this. So we're going to talk about Portland, Darlington with the trucks, and the Cup Series. Signing off, this is DMoney along with Alex Ruth, the Truth. See y'all next time.